Hi everybody, we are the Californication group, and we are conformed by Angy, Tatiana, Albino, Pablo Aparicio, Valentina Valencia, Sebastián González, Juan, Girón, and Natalia Reinales. Our major is audiovisual and multimedia communication, and today we are reviewing 6 video games for a subject called Animation Workshop, taught by Rigoberto Sáenz at La Sabana University. The Sims 4 is the 4th video game in a social simulation series. It was developed by the Sims Studio, EA Salt Lake, and Maxis Label, and distributed by Electronic Arts. Its launch was announced on May 6, 2013. It was published on September 2 of the following year for Microsoft Windows, and in February 2015, a version for Mac was released worldwide. It also has versions compatible with Xbox One and PlayStation. It all began with the creation of The Sims 1 by Will Wright in February 2000, who is considered the father of the franchise, an idea that arose according to several interviews from some of the characteristics of the game read on Evangeline Bay, which allowed players to create their own maps during development. Due to the fact that in the game you cannot win or lose, it was not known if any distributor would want to work together. However, sometime later, Maxis, which was just emerging in the market, decided to present it as one of the initial titles of the company, and Electronic Arts, who acquired Maxis, had no problem in continuing to work with them. At first, the game was mainly about city management. However, they decided to delve deeper into the characters and their lives in the neighborhood. The genre is social and life simulation, and its target audience can range from 12 to 25 years old, and its ESRB rating is teen. The character creation is up to the player. You can change the appearance of the character as many times as you want and in the ways you want, as well as you can choose personality traits and aspirations, and develop skills such as cooking, charisma, fishing, logic, piano, among us. Being a live simulation game, it does not have a stipulated enemy. On the contrary, the player can decide which Sims are rivals and their interaction with each other throughout the game. There are no levels. It could be said that these are replaced by the stages of the Sims life, like lactation, infancy, childhood, adolescence, youth, adulthood, old age, and death. Compared to previous versions in the series, The Sims 4 changed the user interface in its entirety, changed the colors to more sober and uniform ones. The buttons are smaller and there is less unnecessary information that prevents the player from being confused. They also added emotional states of the Sims, giving them more personality. Transitions from build to live mode and vice versa are much faster, and some elements that were in previous games are no longer in this game, such as cars and changing lots without the need of transitions. Finally, in the area of controls, you can play without problem with just a mouse. However, there are also commands that facilitate and speed up the gameplay. For example, the keys 1, 2, and 3 are used to speed up the time, 1 being the normal time and 3 the fastest. The C key is used to capture photos, and if you press Ctrl, Shift, and C, you open the bar to enter codes and cheats, and with the spacebar you change characters, etc. We consider that it is a good game since it presents many number of interesting options for the player to decide which course to take, not to mention that the aesthetics and graphics of the game are at another level, and even more so when comparing it with previous versions. We consider that it is an original game for having positioned itself as one of the most famous simulation games in the world, with more than 175 million units sold and having little competition that reaches the same height. Also, do not forget that the game has a simple, short, and easy name to remember, has good ambient sounds, voices, in-game music, that is the music that comes from the Sims radio, and an original soundtrack. Its payment method is 1, you buy the base game, and apart you can buy the expansions and accessory packs separately. You also have the possibility to download and personalize content, to dress your Sims and decorate their homes as you wish. We think it is a good game which clearly has things to improve, such as the setbacks it had compared to the previous versions, but overall we give The Sims a score of 8.5 of 10. Talking about Yoko Taro game without mentioning the man himself would be an impossible feat to accomplish, especially for the 2017 game NieR Automata, developed by Square Enix, the company famous for the Final Fantasy series, which especially asked for a Yoko Taro game, as they were fans of him and who couldn't care for the low sales of his previous titles. And that is a miracle, because now we have an amazing action, bullet hell, RPG, and every other game that defines every convention and opens up a whole new world for video games storytelling. With its M rating, targeting a more adult type of gamer around 17 and 21, this PS4 and PC masterpiece tackles themes of existentialism and human condition through its main cast, the androids 9S and 2B, tasked to destroy the robots that have conquered Earth for the glory of mankind. Through your quest, you will travel an ever-changing world through the robot and android camps, traveling through multiple levels and completing missions and quests that range from the exploration of an isolated desert to a beautiful named park full of live-up to desperate search for a close friend. Slowly, you'll discover a story that will ultimately challenge your own sense of accomplishment for the sake of others. With its masterful use of the meta, the story that this game tells will surely resonate with every type of gamer, and it will create new expectations of what a story can contribute to the mechanics and systems of a game. Focusing on the perspective of each individual, this game will make you understand every side of the story through its multiple endings, although some are more questionable than others. And don't worry, you're going to want to get to those endings no matter the choice you have to make. And prepare to attack and avoid the enemies in a game that can change genres and mediums with complete confidence and always for the sake of its story. And really, prepare to avoid with the help of R2 and continue your attack with the square for a light attack and with the triangle for a heavy attack, while you fire relentlessly with R1, jump with X, interact with the world with circle, and move with left joystick while you aim and move the camera with the right joystick. This is a game that challenges game logic and completely succeeds at it. It's a game that wants to be whatever it chooses to be at any moment of the experience and drags you along its ride with every element of its being. We patiently await the next game of Yoko Taro. 10 out of 10. Every modern console of Nintendo has to have its 3D Mario installment. The N64 had Mario 64, the GameCube had Mario Sunshine, and the Wii had Superior Mario Galaxy, which brings the whole Mario experience into a whole new galaxy, quite literally. Released in 2007 to universal acclaim, this 3D platformer masterclass introduces amazing ideas with each jump that Mario makes. It's really a game that is enjoyed by for everyone, not only the kids 7 to 12 that Nintendo targeted. Just ask its sequel that was basically an expansion pack for the sake of preserving the amazing mechanics, controls, and universe that this game had. Of course, the story is nothing to talk about with Mario once again going through every obstacle in his way to Princess Peach, who, after a cake invasion, was snatched by King Bowser. Not that the story really matters, it's just an excuse to explore every level in form of a planet that this game has to offer, in which you'll discover the land of the bees, the treasures, aquatic cores, a ghost town, and a child's dream in the form of a world made out of candy. All of this was made possible by one of the most creative hub worlds in the form of the Comet Observatory. Each stage will bring a new challenge to the table. Some will test your reaction time to impending doom, others will test your speed in completing the task at hand, others will reward your curiosity, and others will reward your calmness in stressful situations. Some stages will even have a boss at the end that behave more like a puzzle you need to resolve to emerge victorious. Just remember to follow the tasks you are being asked to do. And also remember the star bits you need to collect. Those will surely come in handy as they are used both as currency for cool items and for points to open up new stages. And I'll tell you, you need to have this game. It's not even that hard to find, being playable in the Wii U with its backwards compatibility, and now on the Switch with Mario Superstar Collection, which is a pretty great deal considering that you can now play the previous 2 amazing Mario games, and you can have Odyssey as well, another fantastic game in this series. And of course, it's easy to play with the jump attached to the A button, the collection and release of the star bits tied to the gyroscope of your controller, plus the B button and your movement tied to the nunchuck, and combine every movement with the crouching ability that the Z button has for a complete experience of what this game has to offer. You will have the time of your life in this adventure, being constantly in awe with every new idea that is thrown to you. Be prepared to be blown out with this amazing game. 9.5 out of 10. Following the success that was A Link to the Past, Nintendo wanted the next entry in the Zelda series to have something else, to push it to the next level. With the Nintendo 64 launching with another masterpiece in the form of Mario 64 shortly after in 1998, while using every ounce of power from the console, they managed to push the Zelda series into the third dimension with Ocarina of Time revolutionizing gaming, once again to create what's considered to be one of the greatest games of all time, if not the greatest. Although this action-adventure classic was aimed primarily at kids aged 8 to 14 with its E rating, it's a game that will be enjoyed by everyone with its emphasis on combat, exploration, and puzzle solving that will challenge every type of gamer. Moreover, it's incredibly easy to find, being originally available for the Nintendo 64 with ports into the GameCube, Wii, and Wii U through the Virtual Console, and with a remake with updated graphics for the 3DS. Here's hoping for a port to the Switch. The game follows Link in his courage-guided quest to help the Princess Zelda defeat Ganondorf, before and after he brings the land of Hyrule into ruins. In his journey, he will be fighting a multitude of enemies, from plants to Eskeletons up to ancient dragons. It is up to you to explore the overworld and its many secrets, and to solve the perfectly designed dungeons that serve as the levels of the game, located all over the world, like in the ruins of an ancient temple, or the inside of a volcano, or the inside of a mystic well. In these dungeons, you'll find numerous items and treasures you can wield to help you in the completion of the quest. The only thing you need to do is learn how to move yourself in every environment depending on which console you will use. With the B button, you can use the swords, the joystick for 360 movement, A for interaction with the environment and NPCs, the Z button for locking on the enemies, and the C buttons to use the items you'll be collecting throughout your adventure. Because after you know how to explore this world, you will not want to stop listening to the amazing music, while being surprised in every corner, while having the time of your life with one of the greatest gaming experiences that you can have. And for our final score, We cannot give it anything less than 10 out of 10. It's truly a classic that everyone should play at least once in their life. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. NBA 2K20, the American Basketball League game designed by 2K studios that have developed games like Civilization, Borderlands, and many others. NBA 2K20 is a sports simulation game suitable for all audiences. It is found on different platforms such as Windows, iOS, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and Android. In this game, the player will have the opportunity to play with different NBA and WNBA teams, with current lineups from years where the teams had a great impact on the sport and special lineups of the best players that have reached each franchise. Los Angeles All Times versus Boston All Times.
Hell is you thinking I'm jumping and leaking and Leo is leaking immediately. Show up this evening and wait till you sleeping and wrap you up nice and neat in them sheets. Kicked it to open, I'm scanning for motion. I'm just trying to make all my pockets obese. Don't want the coochie, I just want the Lucci. So me and all of my poochies can eat. Might rob 2 chains for his loose change. Take his boot thing up to PF chains and take him K get steak or some. Drop kick yeah.
The player will also be able to participate in one-on-one matches with freedom of characters to test Michael Jordan against LeBron James. The game has a team manager mode where you will have to fulfill tasks set by the team owners, players, and executive members of the chosen franchise. You can make changes on the templates, simulate games, watch the team's social networks, and much more. And the most striking, the career mode, where the player can create his own player, choose his position, his type of game, his skill, size, and opening, and receive a comparison to 3 real players to show him if he has the style of player he was looking for. And before starting it, you can test your player in any of the starting quintets of the game where he wants to play.
This is the year of the beer, leave it here on a chair so they know we was here. Staring at fear like a deer when the car coming near in the middle of the road, bit of beer. You don't wanna rock with the man, hands off of the grands, counting up bands while I talk to the fans. Knew I could jam, but the thought wasn't playing that.
The player will play a Bay City University player nicknamed Che, who will try to earn his place in the NBA by going through many difficulties, training sessions, and games where he will demonstrate his value in basketball. The controls for PS4 are the same as for Xbox and other consoles, including PC. You only have to take the buttons with the names that are on each control. Some of them are left stick to move the player, right stick or pro stick to dribble moves, shooting and passing, L2 to dribble moves, R2 to sprint, and many others. The score I give it is a 9 because compared to other titles such as 2K19, this improvement in its speed and playability, but even the launch system is complicated for a casual player.
Minecraft is a sandbox and survival video game created by Mojang Studios in 2009. Mojang was founded in 2009 by Marcus Persson, aka Notch, a Swedish programmer and game designer that worked for King, the company that created Candy Crush. He created Minecraft in his spare time and released an alpha version on May 2009. In less than a month, the game had generated enough revenue to allow him to quit his job. In 2010, Persson hired Jens Bergenstein, Jacob Porser, Marcus Toivonen, and Daniel Kaplan to join Mojang AB. In 2010, Minecraft registered 10 million users, and in 2011, the game was formally released. Mojang also released co-productions with other studios, such as Cobalt and Colors Bane. In 2014, Persson sold his share of the enterprise and Microsoft bought Mojang for $2.5 billion. In 2014, Mojang partnered with Telltale Games to release Minecraft Story Mode, a narrative set in the Minecraft universe, and in 2016 they released Crown and Council, a strategy game, for free. In 2019, Minecraft celebrated its 10th anniversary, with a total of 147 million copies sold, making it the best-selling game of all time. The game belongs to the sandbox and survival genres, and it's mainly for ages 10 to 16, but it enjoys popularity among every age. It's available on Windows, Mac, Linux, Xperia Play, Android, iOS, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3 and 4, PlayStation Vita, Nintendo Wii U, Nintendo Switch, and a Raspberry Pi. It has a ESRB rating of E10+. The main character is the player, nicknamed Steve, a man, or Alex, a woman. Apart from him or her, there are numerous entities or mobs that range from inoffensive animals like pigs, cows, and chickens to villagers the player can interact with, to lethal monsters like zombies, skeletons, spiders, endermen, and creepers, exploding monsters. These monsters appear at night or in low lighting zones like caves. The player can domesticate some animals such as horses, wolves, and white cats, and even create some mobs such as golems. Minecraft doesn't have levels as we know them, rather it has areas. There's the overworld, which is the normal world, where the player can move normally and explore freely. There's the Nether, an infernal dimension the player can access with certain items and where you can mine rare materials. And there's the End, a dark dimension where the player can fight with the dangerous Ender Dragon. If he or she defeats it, they can see the game credits and a poem, and then they can keep on playing the game normally. The Nether and the End are fully optional, only necessary to obtain some achievements, and the player can spend the whole game only in the overworld. On PC, you use the mouse to move the character's view, with the left click you attack or use a tool in your hand, and with right click you block attacks. You press W to move forward, A to go left, S to go backwards, and D to go right. You can press Shift to crouch, and the keys from 1 to 9 are used to select an item from your inventory. With the letter T, you enable the cheats and codes. The main mechanics of the game are simple. The players choose a game mode and a difficulty level, and then they appear in a randomly generated 3D world, constructed of blocks that represent fluids and materials such as dirt, stone, sand, gold, wood, diamond, among others. The world includes 79 biomes, like tundra, rainforest, beaches, deserts, grasslands, oceans, and mountains, among many others. The game has a day-night cycle in which a full day lasts 20 real-world minutes. Players are free to move through the whole world, which has a size of 30 million blocks in all directions, allowing them to do practically anything they want and explore everything at their own pace. They can explore mine shafts and abandoned temples, train animals, create circuits, have their own farm, interchange goods, fight monsters, or enchant their weapons. In survival mode, players have to survive obtaining resources, food, tools, and shelter to defend themselves from the monsters and not die of hunger. If the player doesn't eat, drowns, burns, falls from too high, or are lethally attacked by a monster, they will die and respawn from their original point, or their bed if they have one. They lose all their items, and they can recover them if they manage to get to the place they died within 5 minutes. In creative mode, players are invulnerable, able to fly and free to use any block in any quantity, allowing them to create any building or sculpture freely, or roam the world with no restrictions of movement. In adventure mode, players can destroy blocks with certain tools, not with their hands. making it ideal for player-created maps and campaigns. In hardcore mode, players are faced with a permanent hard difficulty level, extremely aggressive mobs, and permadeath. If they die, they cannot come back and the world is deleted, or they can only use it in spectator mode. And in spectator mode, players can only fly around the world at any speed they want, watching what villagers and entities are doing without interacting with anything else. Minecraft has an achievement system, a kind of step-by-step guide to dominating all the materials and features of the game, starting by cutting wood and ending with fighting a giant dragon. In any case, the achievements are fully optional and their completion is not required to play. All in all, Minecraft is one of the most versatile games ever created. With virtually no limits to the player's imagination, incredibly easy controls, motivating game mechanics, challenging enemies, a distinctive melancholic feel, simple yet effective graphics, and a beautiful soundtrack, Minecraft is probably the most successful sandbox game of all time.